Hi, this is Little Dwarf playing games while rambling incoherently into a microphone. Why? Well, just because I can, and they continue with Experience 112 Blind. I think I'm ready to go to the other deck or something. Or it's not actually the other deck, it's just the other side of this bulkhead, I guess. It's just a separate map in terms of the game design, because I've explored everything here, so let's have her flick the switch and go. Laboratory rooms and dining room, first deck. Okay.
Okay, let's go below.
Wait, what are you doing? I didn't want you to do that, actually. I wanted you to continue onwards. But there wasn't... Seemingly there wasn't anything else to interact with on the other map, and that's why she didn't proceed forward, because I couldn't light a light source or anything for her, and that's why she refused to go forward. So I wonder if this has to wait for... Actually, how does it look? This goes up. Ah, okay, so just to change the level. Okay, this is quite a large area. So let's have her go up. Oh, it's another dead body, and seemingly is it like
These are gunshots through the glass.
Military cap or something? Or is it his exposed brain? My mind is kind of tripping.
The door is closed. There must be a code. Look in Major Leonard's personal records. He must have written it somewhere. Do you have the password to access the system? No? We'll have to find it. We'll come back when we have it.
Okay. I doubt the Major would be on the noob level, so like level 1. So I doubt I can use the all-purpose password for that. Okay, this is clearly out of focus. Let's check maybe this part.
Phew. Good riddance.
I didn't even notice the snake at first. I thought I wanted to enable this computer as opposed to the Steam. But I guess it's good that I clicked on that, because I accidentally saved her from being devoured. There's another journal of some sorts. Is she going to pick it up? She's a little bit clumsy sometimes. Well, I guess it wasn't that important for her to care about it. It's like a kitchen area. Anything worthwhile here? Difficult to tell. Although I guess by the lack of her comments that the answer is no. And this is a freezer, or what kind of animal is that? Is that a cow carcass? Seems
Don't ask me to search through a pile of carcasses.
Seems a little bit weirdly
These are not bullet
proportioned.
holes, nor traces from explosions. If a living thing left these marks, it's not human.
Well, it's probably one of those aliens, right? That this game is seemingly about. It seems weirdly proportioned for a cow carcass. Maybe it's actually an eye.
Interesting. We never had such rich materials at our disposal. The samples we had were usually soiled or incomplete. Look at this claw. It is splendid.
Yeah,
the first time I saw a Tyriad, it reminded me of an insect, an overgrown insect, or even a spiny lobster. Professor Pierre called them the crustaceous gods. But the comparison isn't quite accurate, since Tyriads stand up and certain females have a near-human silhouette.
Yeah, so it is an alien.
Enough chit-chat. Let's keep going.
Did she pick up something useful from it, or? Well, I'm not sure, actually, but I guess having her comment on that couldn't hurt, at the very least.
Paul de Provence, the French chef. What's this? A recipe book? Look, there's a page bookmarked. The bouillabaisse. Of course, his favorite recipe. Strange. Letters and numbers are noted in the margins. What could this be? Ingredients with quantities? No, they look more like codes.
Oh damn it, it's going to be the other code.
Ah, these are external base codes. So, Mr. de Provence kept a secret notebook. I'm not surprised. He never inspired too much trust. And well, you know how chefs can be.
It's going to be the more complicated code. But will she put it in? Because I'm not going to remember.
Ready?
Ready for what? I'm not going to remember, and she didn't even tell me the numbers, so to be honest, it's kind of pointless. Because even if bouillabaisse is the code word, it still doesn't tell me the actual message. Where is she? Okay, I think I'm ready to leave this place, at least for now. It seems that the cookbook might be important for later, but I'm not sure if I'm going to remember about it, to be honest. Come on. Okay, this goes back down. She will actually come out of here. Okay. Oh, is that a human hand, or? It doesn't look human, to be honest. I guess it's one of the alien. Yeah, it has like claws and weird protrusions. Anything you can do with the computer?
letter. It's signed by Professor Morin. Strange that he would have left it on the desk. Interesting.
But what's it about?
I'm going to save a summary of this letter. It might be useful.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You could, however, also input the thing from the cookbook while you're at the computer, but oh well. Summary of the letter. The letter discusses the traffic of outdated medicines, bribes, exchanged during surgical operations, and other shenanigans. Provides confidential information that might help confound this sinister character. Okay, so I have access to his files, but I'm not going to read them all yet because I don't see much purpose in that at the moment.
That's enormous. What animal goes with this enormous arm?
It's weird that she's all of a sudden confused, even though, judging from the other dialogue...
We've already seen a Tyriad's arm in the storeroom. It didn't look like this one. Are there many species of Tyriads?
Ah, so I guess she is...
Listen, until now, I haven't explained to you what goes on in the base and the purpose of the research. It seemed too early. But if I don't trust you, you won't be able to help me properly. So I'm going to tell you what I know. A new animal species was discovered a few years ago, the Tyriads. Their metabolism is very peculiar. They secrete a substance called hydroxide oxygen, very toxic to humans when it is concentrated, but once filtered, it has incredible properties. It stops the aging process and encourages the development of extrasensory abilities. We suspect that it would help cure certain incurable diseases. Essentially, it appears to be a youth serum that we named Unique Elixir. Our research attempted to find ways to collect and synthesize it for eventual industrial production. Due to this, we recruit receptors, human subjects supposedly tolerant to hydroxide oxygen, and send them in the depths of the earth where these animals live.
Ah.
There. Now you know everything. Well, everything that the program supervisors told me. I have reason to believe that in reality there's more, and there's more to worry about. I hope to find out more by searching the ship.
So, I guess at least according to official information, the Tirades aren't actually extraterrestrial, they just live underground. Which is weird, but...
No luck. The console is out of order.
Well, that's probably because the cable is broken.
Hello? Hello? I can't hear anything. Who's on the line? Hello?
Am I mute?
Are you trying to call me?
Yes, but it seems the microphone is not working. Or maybe I'm a mute. I guess she can't fix the computer.
Can't you see the line is down? Why are you so insistent? This is why you called me? So I can reconnect the console?
Oh. So I guess she can do that. So why didn't she... Is she... like... Okay, so I have to disable the power first.
Careful this time.
Or at least, you know, that's what an electrician would recommend, but I guess she doesn't
I was
care.
lucky. I could have electrocuted myself. It's working, as long as the short circuits didn't damage the files. Darn, I should have guessed. We need an access code. Come on, who manages the lab? Professor Morin. The code must be in his personal record. But first, we need the password. Do you have it? Where could it be? Maybe in Abdullah Melik's files. I believe the doctor investigated a few members of base personnel.
Well, it just so happens I do have his password. Neuroleptic.
You must access the system under Abdullah Melik's profile and search his files.
Okay. What does he have on
I'm
here?
waiting.
Access code to the mixing room. Okay, this is going to be relevant later. But for now... First, let's check his mail. Read that already. A date? Hello, doctor. Are you forsaking me? Our last visit was Monday. Are you aware that my door is open for you? Dear Nancy, thank you for the kind reminder. I also have work to do. And anyway, you're not the only one seeking my attention. Wait, are you seeing other women? I'm jealous. It's not that. The goodies that you like so much have made new fans. My reserves are low. There's only one solution, raise the price. Have mercy, doctor. You know how much it costs for a simple employee to partake in this kind of pleasure. Don't deprive me. So he was selling drugs? Oh, I guess this is about the anesthetic, right? Because the file mentioned that one of them was selling anesthetic to the receptors, and he was accepting sexual favors from the women. So I guess this is it. Hello, doctor. You've asked me to provide a simple and efficient encryption system. A keyword is needed to use it. The encrypted text can be read by matching one letter at a time at an intersection of the row that starts with the encrypted letter with the column that starts with the same letter of the keyword. To decrypt reverse process, it's not too hard. Might develop a program. Yeah, somehow I'm not counting on it. Hello, Igor. So the encryption key you promised me, I'm waiting for it. I can't wait to learn all about cryptology. It's Cesar. Cesar? Okay. Which is, incidentally, it's funny because Caesar's code is another one of those very famous ancient codes. But the Caesar's code is probably like the easiest one, because all it does is like shift the letters forward or backwards by a fixed amount. So for example, if you choose the number 3 as the base of your code, then A becomes D, and so on. You know, you shift all the letters by 3 forward or backward. Name rings a bell. I've written a long letter describing the method. Do you remember how it works? I think so. The code to my sensitive files is this. But wait, do I need to decrypt that? Probably do, right? It would be too easy if I just... wrote this. Yeah, I need to decrypt it. Okay, this is going to be kinda annoying, I feel like, because I'm an idiot, but clearly it's required by the game, so... but before I do that, let's read his other emails. the truth about hydroxide oxygen in humans in collaboration. A recent report from the laboratory contains a, at minimum, fantastical clinical presentation of the secondary effects of hydroxide oxygen in humans. My duty as a practitioner is to re-establish the truth, or at the minimum contextualize the analysis in a strictly medical context. I reject the affirmation that the injection is lethal in all cases. This is false. Only 2 receptors were subject to an injection. The first suffered from a severe hepatic insufficiency, which the HO accelerated. The second died from a thoracic hemorrhage, perhaps unrelated. Since test subjects were inhaling it, their tolerance to HO is better than the report would indicate. The light discomfort invoked by Legland are most likely related to the test subject's stress levels rather than the effects of the product. It should be noted that the majority of the subjects are marginalized or relegated persons, often with very altered state of health. This inevitably affects the statistics. Manufacturing synthetic HO. Okay, this is obviously important towards the task of doing just that, which is actually my objective. Is a substitute drug, as neither the formula nor the effect reproduced in the lab are exactly the same as the naturally occurring HO. The fabrication is a complex process, impossible to undertake manually. A machine, the handling chamber, was designed for the purpose. It protects the handler. The handler starts by introducing ingredient A, which I already have, of the mix second part into the no, wait, I have the first part. Ingredient B, the most toxic part, is already contained in a cylinder. When the two combined, with the two combined, the operator must then reinitiate the operation with the first part. The precise dosage is 5 units of the left-hand red vial and 3 units of the right-hand blue vial. Most delicate phrase. Exothermic reactions must be achieved at a constant temperatures of 42 degrees. Any deviation would ruin the mix. Okay, so clearly I'm going to have to consult that, but first I do need to find the actual ingredients. Each response are difficult to gather and require precision for mixing. And the first component is extremely sensitive to temperature. A positive variation of 3 degrees Celsius increases the product's volume by 32%. If the temperature is stabilized at 35 degrees for 5 seconds, the product will generate a bioluminescence response that will rapidly form oversaturated sodium sulfate crystals. And this will remain even when the test tube is cooled down. And lastly is the most reactive of the 3 components. If heated even slightly, its color will change to an orange-red spectrum while the product begins to boil. An explosion is imminent after a few seconds. It requires not only competent handlers in the synthesis, but also handlers with nerves of steel. Neither of those particularly well applies to me, which I'm looking forward to blowing myself up. Collection of poetry. Okay, so report on the tyrate pheromones, part 1. Tyrate pheromone study could not be undertaken in the laboratory because of the extreme vulnerability of the chemical agent used as sustenance and for mobility. Dr. Malik and I have successfully isolated a hostile AB pheromone lifted from the combat tyrate's corpse hours earlier. Actually, I read that already from the other, because this is Zelik's mail, and I've read it on ciphers. Okay, so I guess it's time to go through this. But actually, before I do, I need to reopen the email from the guy. Wait. Yeah, email. Encryption key, cryptography. Okay, so matching one letter at a time at the intersection of the row that starts with the encrypted letter with the column that starts with the same letter of the keyword to decrypt, reverse the process. Okay, I'm already getting kind of, maybe not confused, but I'm confused in anticipation of doing that. Okay, there was a mail about the encryption key, which is this. Wait, how many? Let's just try winging it, because it seems it starts with suck, so I doubt it's like a sucker or some other derogatory word. I was thinking about success, so let's just try that, although I won't escape having to use that decryption method eventually for other things, but well, I guess it worked for now, at least. So, why worry if you have nothing to hide? Any human community confined in a small space becomes an irreplaceable subject of study for scientists, but specifically for doctors. My concern for the base personnel, permanent host on the anchored ship, has not lessened with time. On the contrary, I've been studying the generalized rapid evolution of their neuroses and various psychoses. Psychoses? It's a plural of psychosis. So psychoses? Many of which severe, that would be the basis for commitment outside of the military context. The external base and the advanced base personnel are the most heavily affected. Jack Lowell has manifested over several months severe depressive schizoid affective disorders. Nancy suffers from a paranoid psychosis. Paul Gurnish demonstrates schizophrenic responses affecting his senses. Why would you would never a person with so severe especially with like psychotic symptoms, such as hallucinations, would have never gotten admitted to the military. I find it weird. Inside the ship, cases are in high numbers. Without qualifying him specifically as sick, Alan Morin is dependent on various chemical substances, medication and drugs, whose daily consumption is hazardous to his health. This guy consumes drugs that put him in a stupor. Among other scientists, aggravated neuroses are found, but are too common to note here. Therefore, it appears indispensable to publish the codes in my possession, as many patients are reporting to me appear to believe that causing me harm will quicken their recovery. Okay, so again, I don't want to read all of the files now, so I'm just going to read Maureen's, because he has the code to this computer, supposedly. But first, read more about the olfactory communication in tirades. A challenge indeed, since our knowledge of chemical messages among animals is far from what is known about their visual or auditory signals, but a further challenge in understanding interpersonal communication. The forthcoming work, currently initiated by our teams, unfolds as follows. Install an ongoing dialogue, or at least a regular, between tirades and humans to assist in the study of these interesting creatures. Such a contact would presume that the tirades absorb our expressions despite their disinterest, or that humans master their language. Hence, and this jointly with my colleagues, I insist on immediate funding for a prototype pheromone emission device or language pack that would enable them to understand our language. What is known as tirades olfactory language is based on a pheromone. Okay, I actually read that on a different computer because the AC respond blah blah blah. Yeah, I've read that on a different computer. The AAABACAD response. Okay, so this leaves part 4. The emission and reception distance of tirade pheromones is cause for caution. No experiments thus far have established the maximum distance, strictly dependent on the environment. Depending on their emission in the hot and humid air of the Earth's depths. So again, this is not really an alien world. They are living very deep underground, apparently. The pheromones travel a different trajectory at varying distances. Another factor to consider, as with humans, is the morphology of the individual emitter. There is nothing similar between the babbling of a young tirade's female of the healing breath caste, nursing caste, and the heavy groans of an adult combat tirades. Ultimately, we've concluded from a recent observation that the moral state of the interlocutor directly impacts the expression of his message. The feeling of rage, for example, multiplies the emission distance by 5. Okay, so A. Morin's password is me, which is really weak as far as passwords go, but I guess that might be a sign of him being crazy.
Those two never got along very well. Their problems seem to be solved now.
That's kind of dark, actually, if she's referring to the fact that they are dead. Card game. Hello, Alan. Thanks for a great card game. Hello, Paul. It was a good time. We'll be playing again for sure. I have a reputation to regain. You're the only person I can play cards with. This job is sometimes pretty ungrateful. I hear your bitterness. I understand it, too. I suffer from a certain isolation inside this base. I never felt integrated. Thank you, Paul. You're a true friend. Urgent security. Hello, Major. Apologies for disturbing your important and pressing work. I'd like to discuss concerns about base security and threats to key personnel members. It's difficult to explain my case here. I encourage you to consult my sensitive files. Includes a letter addressed to you. Access code to my files is ethology. Take a moment to review the document, and you shall find proof of criminal activity that will allow you to exercise your authority effectively. I remain available to provide you in all secrecy any details. Observed mutation. Okay, I've read that again, and just from the other side, from Francis. Francis? This is about the mutation in the specimens, and follow your conscience, Alan. I've read that. So, ethology is the code for this. But First, let's check his personal files. Because I've read all of his emails. Tirade cast. Read that already. Although, wait. I think I didn't, actually. This is the part I didn't read. Because I read number 1, 3 and 4. But I don't think I read this. It is most difficult for the human mind to understand the tirade cycles, as it is difficult for it to conceive of the scope of the cosmos. The long periods of hibernation, their excessively slow metabolism and their robust construction allows these creatures a lifetime ranging from 300 to 700 years, more than any other human on Earth. The 700-year-old period corresponds to their civilization cycle. While 7 human centuries come and go, contemplate a phase of their evolution. It begins with an ultimate renewal ceremony that lasts 1 year, during which the new mother of creation, supreme being of the community, replaces the previous one. 7 candidates vie for the position. This is how their civilization takes its new evolutionary step. Major changes are implemented on all levels of society, and the cast of birth mothers gains a new member. The cyclical concept of time exists among humans in societies with oral traditions. Study of the Tirade's universe remains pending. I'm a little confused by the use of the word universe, because they seem to imply at the very beginning that it was a different world, which I assumed to be an alien world, outside this Earth. But then they were also talking about how the Tirades are living underground on Earth. So I'm kind of a little bit confused about that. I read that already, about the different castes. Resignation draft number 2. Since the start of my mandate as the director of ethology, I have labored to fulfill my mission precisely and consciously. My service records reflect this. I believe to have been a devoted employee, efficient and diligent, whose contribution to the Eden project have been recognized by entire scientific personnel. I remind you that it was my team that successfully synthesized the hydroxide oxygen. It was also me who managed to figure out the pheromonal chain of the ultimate renewal and paving a way to further study on the tirade cycles. New circumstances forced me to submit my resignation. For one, the hostility of various of my colleagues delivers unfavorable conditions in which to continue my work, but further and most importantly, it has become clear to me that the Eden Project is seeking to reach non-medical goals, in which I wish to have no part. Oh, obviously, because obviously I imagine the military was trying to weaponize whatever they found, because that's how the military works, and more broadly speaking, I guess that's how technology works. Most technology, if not all technology ever developed in the human history, was initially investigated by the military for military use, and only later made available to civilians. It was actually the same with the internet, for example. Okay, read that. Now read that, so this only leaves this. Dr. Malik's schemes. Not recommended to take issue with Dr. Malik, an influential and wily man, suspicious of everyone, even his friends. No one dares to complain about him, even if the majority have just cause. Those few who have submitted complaints about him were forced to leave the base pursuant to brutal harassment. His crimes must nevertheless be denounced. Let's set aside the trafficking of outdated medications, the bribes, and other such shenanigans. Dr. Malik sells drugs and encourages their consumption, which is unforgivable. Even I have been a victim of such terrible blackmail. Threatened to inoculate me with a lethal virus if I did not purchase his merchandise. I had to submit. in order for others to avoid this trap. Okay, this... Well, first let me read it in its entirety. I submit confidential information. Downfall of this sinister man. I had the passwords of him anyway, but this seems far-fetched to me, cause it seems like something someone would say if they discovered that he's been doing drugs, and he didn't want to admit that. So he developed this whole story about a blackmail attempt, because if somebody was to threaten you with a deadly virus, then surely they wouldn't require you to actually buy anything from them. They would just straight up require you to give them your money. Like, why would Melik want to give his product out? If he's going to resort to threatening them, then surely it would be easier for him and more beneficial for him to actually force them to outright give him money, as opposed to forcing them to buy the drugs. So I don't really buy that explanation, but oh well. Dr. Melik's failures. Okay. Eden Base is not immune from personal problems common to all organizations of a certain size. One of the most preoccupying concerns is the concentration of power in a handful of men. Dr. Melik exercises authority beyond his competencies, but most importantly has displayed questionable morality, of which even his patients complain. Many rumors are floated about him, one of which has been revealed as true. Under the cover of medical prescriptions, he feeds psychotropic drugs and others to anyone who asks, many of which shortly thereafter falling into addiction. He supplies most scientists working near Tyrade's area, exposed as they are to serious psychic disorders. These concerns motivate me to publish certain documents to evaluate the harm done, and if appropriate, recommend sanctions which I believe are needed. So I guess this was what he was writing to the Major, but he didn't send it. Oxaldines and Tirades. Eden Base personnel have known about and studied the mysterious Tirades universe for years. Again with the universe, I don't quite understand that. None of which, however, have proposed that the species could have links, even weak ones, to our own human species. However, recent studies have suggested otherwise. Not only have Tirades encountered humans, or rather their ancestors from a previous time, but both species have prime linkages as rivals and allies. These human ancestors living in contact with the Tirades were called Oxaldines. Unfortunately, we know very, very little about them. No trace or documentation of this pre-human civilization survives to this day. It is as if a memory of them was purposefully erased. Video recording of mutant birds.
In 3, 2, 1, and we're on. We have recently discovered a bird of unusual size nested at the top of one of the ship's funnel. No other specimen have been captured alive, but a half-eaten carcass was recovered on the upper deck. In order to observe the animal in its environment, we figured. But wait, there it is. Incredible. It's some kind of giant crow. Its wingspan may be 2 meters or more. Its bill is hard and curved. It could pierce metal. Strange evolution, and in only one generation. I've noticed the same thing on a ficus and a dwarf palm tree. How can we explain these rapid mutations? I'm worried.
Okay. And a video recording of mutant snakes, which might be the thing I've actually encountered.
It was Paul de Provence, our cook, who alerted me to the python near the storeroom. I have no idea how it got in here. We can see the checkered pattern made by its scales. Wait, let me zoom in. It's a male, about 5 years of just finished shedding its scales. The dead skin was found in the alleyway of the lower deck. What is most strange is that it doesn't display the same patterns. I've observed several spontaneous mutations of animals on board, a rodent, a bird, several cockroaches. How to explain this? This phenomenon is worrying me tremendously. Are we in the presence of a genetic pathology?
Well, if I had to wager that on anything, I would say it's probably the the influence of the aliens. But what about the code to this computer?
We are on the first inner deck. Our objective remains to make hydroxide oxygen in the medical section, on the second deck.
Yeah, but what about this? What do you have to say about it? Is she stuck here? It seems so. She's waiting for me to, enable the computer, but I kind of forgot where I was looking for the password. Like, I assumed Maureen would have it. Oh, it might be here. Ah, right. Alan Maureen. Code to access the archives. Yeah, it might be this. 1P08825. One P08 825.
Congratulations. We can access the archives now.
Okay, but...
Darn. I suspect some files were altered. Maybe due to the short circuit. Let's see the rest of them.
Is she going to read them, or do I have to?
I can't read the files on this screen. Try on your end.
Okay, that's actually a little bit nonsensical if you think about it, because I don't think I'm accessing... maybe I am accessing this directly, on a server. Okay, maybe it isn't nonsensical, but this episode has been long enough nonetheless, so I'm going to save and actually end it here. That's all for this one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!